It's clear that Democrats are still very much dug into their position. They will not agree to keep the government open unless Republicans agree to inflate federal spending. So with about 30 hours before tomorrow night's deadline, our nation, quite frankly, appears to be headed toward a government shutdown. Going into the weekend, I had a conversation with House Speaker Mike Johnson for my weekend program this week on Capitol Hill, and we talked about the situation that we now find ourselves in and why this will be owned by the Democrats if the government is shut down. So I'd like to share that part of our conversation with you right now. Here is how we got into that discussion.
Let's talk about the shutdown, Tony, because it's a serious, serious issue for the American people. Every Democrat in Congress has decried the danger of shutdowns because it hurts the people who need hurting the least. I mean, you have troops that won't be paid. You have all the federal employees that will go on furlough, but then it also affects benefits and services to people around the country. Why are we in this situation? Very important to remember. House Republicans have moved us back to regular order. We have done 12 separate appropriations bills, as the law is supposed to work, through the House Appropriations Committee. 3 of those have been passed off the floor. The Senate passed 3 appropriations bills, and those 2 groups, because the bills don't match, are going to a conference committee to work out the differences and keep the appropriations process going. Tony, this is a massive improvement over the way things have been done here for a long, long time, and we got to keep it going. But we're about to run out of clock, because the end of the fiscal year is September 30th. So we just need a little bit more time. So we put on the floor the obvious, logical thing, a simple, clean, continuing resolution, as you said, that just continues everything at status quo until November 21st so that our appropriators can finish the job. The Democrats don't want to do that, even though they voted on that stuff many times in the past. Suddenly they want to throw in $1.5 trillion in new spending, Tony. That's with a T. They want to have American taxpayers give free health care to illegal aliens again. They want to reinstate that. They want to give $500 million to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting so they can prop up left-wing media outlets. That's just part of it. We're not doing that. The American people did not vote for that stuff, and they're playing games with very serious issues.
Mr. Speaker, if I can, the history has been that there's been a lot of games played in our nation's capital when it comes to the government funding. And oftentimes the Republicans, before they even start, they bring out the white flag. The House passed a clean continuing resolution. As you said, the Democrats have voted for this before. And the House recessed, and they went back into work in their districts. The Democrats were expecting you to come back Monday, so that they could kind of posture and force the Republicans into accepting something. You've actually said the House isn't coming back the first part of the week because you have given them something to deal with. I mean, to me, that's taking a conservative stand, which we haven't seen in a while.
Yes, and it's the right thing to do for the American people. And we had to put an exclamation point on the end of that action to show Chuck Schumer that we're not playing those games. And he's going to own the shutdown. I mean, it will be the Democrat shutdown. They've made very clear that that's their intention. And real people are going to be harmed by this, and it's a shame. But we're not going to be a party to that. So I'll bring everybody back middle of next week after the Democrat shutdown begins. But we're going to hold the line. We have to. We're not going to give in to their radical left proposals to spend more money and to effectively give free benefits to illegal aliens. We're not doing that. And that's something, a conviction that we have, and I think it's the right thing. So we'll see how this shakes out.
So this will be the Schumer shutdown if it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and Hakeem Jeffries and the House Democrats are a part of this as well. And they're digging their heels in. And I guess they think that Republicans will fold. But there's absolutely nothing in this measure that they can possibly object to. All they want is to add additional things that we just can't do.
Well, let's. I want to move on to some other issues, but I do want to point out that our friend Russ Vought sent a letter out giving direction to the government, stating what the president would be cutting. I mean, the president has latitude to make some significant decisions as it pertains to the federal government during a shutdown.
Yes, he does. And whomever the president has all the dials, so to speak, of the executive branch of government, all the agencies, all the services. And so there's a broad amount of discretion that any president has in a scenario like this. Russ Vought at the Office of Management and Budget may well take this opportunity, as he's indicated, to cut a lot more wasteful spending, fraud, waste, abuse, inefficiencies in government. That's what Republicans are for, and they're about to give the White House a whole broad latitude to do exactly that.
I mean, I would think Chuck Schumer is in a very uncomfortable position.
Yeah, as usual, he finds himself there because that's his strategy. He paints himself into those corners. But there's a lot riding on this, Tony, and it really isn't a game.
Yeah.
Game.
All right, let's talk an indictment handed down end of the week of former FBI Director James Comey for lying to Congress. You sat on the House Judiciary Committee. You've been through a lot of those hearings. Your thoughts?
Well, this is a long time coming. I mean, many of us have long understood that Mr. Comey has a problem with the truth. He acted as a partisan, activist effectively in his role when he was the head of the FBI, and he clearly said things to Congress that were not true, and he did that under oath, and that is a problem. You cannot commit perjury in front of Congress. So the grand jury looked at all this, they evaluated it objectively, and they said, well, yeah, this merits an indictment. And so that's what's happened. He could have been brought up on many more charges, but the statute of limitations ran out on a lot of that. So we'll go to trial, and he'll have to stand for that. I don't think there's any way he can answer for that. There's no way for him to explain that he somehow didn't know about the background of the Russian dossier, the big charade that they put on and who funded it and all the rest. He knew who was involved. He knew the details, and he told Congress he didn't. And that's plain and simple.
I was talking with Philip Boygman about this earlier, that in the first Trump administration, there were many who wanted to see justice fulfilled when it came to Hillary Clinton, others who violated their security clearances, released information, or made it vulnerable. And the Trump administration just kind of moved on from that. It appears different this time.
Well, yeah, it does. And, this is the Department of Justice doing their job. I mean, you have to set limits. You've got to make examples of people who take advantage of this in light of Congress, and we just can't stand for it.
Well, that was part of my conversation with House Speaker Mike Johnson on the weekend program, This Week on Capitol Hill. To find out more about the program, you can visit This Week on Capitol Hill or text This Week to 67742. That's This Week to 67742.